Being a math YouTuber is hard. You have to compete with Stoic philosophy and get ready with me videos and tell people about something that they're going to sleep through in class anyway. However, occasionally there is a topic that is so interesting that just talking about it and the math involved is enough to get people's attention. I hope that that is what this video is about. Some of you may know that there are illegal online markets for video game accounts. This is also true for the sandbox game Minecraft, made by Mojang and eventually bought by Microsoft. You can buy Minecraft accounts online. I should mention that this is illegal. Buying and selling accounts violates Mojang's terms of service. It'd be really sad and unethical to kick these small-time software companies like Microsoft while they're so down. All joking aside, I'm not encouraging this behavior. We're going to take a look at it, and there's definitely math involved. There's two major parts to this video. The first part is this journalistic look at what's happening, and the second is a mathematical investigation into this totally illegal market, an attempt to make something out of the data I can gather. I did schedule an interview with a person who is involved in the market and who knows about this stuff. If they did respond, I'm going to cut to the interview here and you're going to get to see them.
Yeah, like a random stranger hears about this and they're just confused. Like they can't imagine dropping like more than the $24.95 or however much.
That's a good question. Like think of somebody that collects coins or collects rare Pokemon cards. I mean, I certainly would ask, why are you spending thousands of dollars on these paper cards? But to enthusiasts, you know, it means something to them.
A Mojang account is transferred to some Microsoft account or associated with some email or converted. Microsoft planned to delete all accounts that weren't migrated.
Yes, and this deletion was important because a lot of these early Minecraft accounts had original names.
So what does it mean to have an original name?
An OG name is pretty much a name that is it can depend.
An OG name would be a word in its most brief form, like candy. And then there are what are called semi-OG names that would be candies.
The market was born pretty much at this time.
Very interesting. So in your experience, the update when Microsoft bought Mojang, that catalyzed the whole trade.
Absolutely. There's even just simply the length of the name. Like any assortment of a 3-letter name, actually one of the most valuable names you could have.
A Minecraft username has to be between 3 and 16 characters. Obviously, there are more 16 character names than there are 3 character names. There are only 30, get ready, I'm gonna start doing math, but don't get scared. There are 37 possible characters. You have the alphabetic letters, and that's case insensitive, by the way, that's important. 26 letters of the alphabet, the 10-digit numbers, and the underscore. So that is 37 possible characters. 37 to the third power. I thought I was gonna do this in my head somehow. I have autism, but I'm not at that level. 37 to the third power is right around 50,000 names. That may seem like a lot, but there are millions of Minecraft users. This is a rarity. It's common to see on these websites 3-character Minecraft usernames being sold. However, there are other usernames.
Any assortment of a 3-letter name, actually one of the most valuable names you could have.
Aside from 2 and 1.
Aside from 2 and 1, but 2 and 1 are special.
There are 2-character and 1-character even username accounts. How is that possible? Aaron, you might ask me. You told me earlier the limit is 3 to 16 characters. Early on in the development of Minecraft, it wasn't programmed into the game that a username had that limit. A person could register an account with a 1-character name, like 8 or G. Still very rare, but more common and a lot more fun in my opinion are the 2-character accounts. It's just like their initials or something, or perhaps it was their country of origin maybe. I was surprised to find out that there's no GG account, which is an enormous missed opportunity that we will never get back. Those accounts are still being circulated today, and they're passed around for like thousands of dollars. Early insiders made these accounts, often called Mojangsters.
I think I remember years and years ago an account that went for 30 grand. That's the highest I've seen any account priced, but I think it was the name of like one of the developers or something, and it was their account specifically. I don't know exactly what the history was, but I think I remember seeing like a 30K figure.
I should add that there's kind of a crypto feel to this whole thing.
There was a time when I was getting $8,000 offers in Bitcoin. I'd get Ethereum offers, Bitcoin offers, never anything cash.
Very Wild West, very make your own way.
That's what comes with it being illegal. So many people got scammed out of thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. I was actually a victim. Somebody purchased my account, well, in air quotes, purchased. They changed the password to my email.
So this is where the math actually comes in. My plan is to take some data from the online market of 6 to 8 month period and figure out whether there's any correlation between the length of the name in characters and the price of the name in US dollars. Okay, so at this point I've explained as much as I can without getting to the math. If you have any traumas associated with math, I am very sorry, but I had nothing to do with that. So I'm editing the video and I just want to tell you, this is almost like a totally different video. So it's gonna be worth it, but just we're going to really shift gears here. The second thing I want to say is that I made a hypothesis going in. As the length of the username goes down, the price goes up. So there's an inverse or negative correlation between the price of the account and the length of the username. Accounts with shorter usernames are more valuable, which seems pretty intuitive enough. That's my hypothesis going in. Let's examine the necessary calculus we'll need to analyze the Minecraft market. We'll start with the partial derivative. For this explanation, I'll assume you already know what a regular derivative is, but just to summarize and review, a derivative shows the rate of change of a function at a certain instant. It's sort of like being in a car, freezing time and then checking the speedometer. Because this is multivariable calculus, instead of a function like, say, y equals 4x plus 6, which has 2 variables, we'll step it up to 3 variables for 3 dimensions, examining a function like z equals 2x plus y squared minus 4. To find partial derivatives for this function, we already need to be familiar with the rules of derivatives. If you don't know, just enjoy the incoming word salad. I'm going to try to throw in some pictures. For a function like this, there are 2 possible partial derivatives we can find, one with respect to x and the other with respect to y. Let's start with the partial derivative of this function with respect to x. We can derive each term separately. The first x term has the variable to whose respect we're deriving, so we'll derive that term normally, as with a regular function. The next y term does contain a variable, but it isn't the variable we're deriving with. So we're going to treat the y as if it were some constant, like 7 pi or 103.42. This is how a partial derivative works. Only the derived variable is treated like a variable, while the others are just treated like constants. Deriving the term in this way means the term just doesn't appear in the result, because that's how you derive a constant. The third term, negative 4, is just a constant in a totally unsophisticated way, so it also derives to nothing. Treating the non-deriving variables as if they were constants takes some imagination, but again, it's the secret to partial derivatives. Now, let's take the same function and find the partial derivative with respect to y. If you want to, pause the video and give it a try. So the first x term becomes 0 because it's a constant, quote unquote, while the y term becomes 2y, and once again the constant -4 term just cancels out. Visually, we can think of the partial derivatives as like taking the derivative of a slice function, at least for 3 dimensions. By treating one of the other dependent variables as a constant, we imagine what it'd be like if it were held constant. And so that translates into seeing a 2D slice of a 3D function. Having gotten a taste of partial derivatives, I'm going to draw us to the application of them that we're looking at today. The application is also one of regular single variable derivatives, so if you took regular calculus, you'll know about this. It's minima and maxima. They say that what goes up must come down. Well, in order for that to happen, something has to stop. Say we hit rock bottom in life, we might say we've had nowhere to go but up, which implies that at some point we stopped. In the case of a more abstract function, we can use a derivative to determine a minimum or a maximum of a function because at such points, called extrema, the derivative or the change will be 0. In order to go from going down to going up, or from going up to going down, you have to stop. We'll take this example from single variable calculus. -x squared plus 4x plus 3. If we take the derivative, -2x plus 4, we can find, using algebra, that it equals 0 at x equals 2. Sure enough, the parabola peaks at the point 2, 7, right at the place where its derivative equals 0. For multivariable calculus, the same is true of partial derivatives, except it's done with multiple derivatives interacting. Take our example from earlier, z equals 2x plus y squared minus 4. With the partial with respect to x equaling 2, and the partial with respect to y being 2y, if we take them both to be 0, and therefore equal to each other, we get y equals 1 for the solution. We're going to use this minimizing and maximizing to find the line of best fit, or what's called a least squares interpolation. Here, the multivariable function involves a line that's as close as possible to all the points in a field. In other words, we're going to minimize that total distance from each point to the line by finding the minimum using partial derivatives. The function, therefore, will represent the sum of those differences so we can minimize it. We'll say that for each x, y point in the plane, the distance between it and the line will be y sub I minus a x sub I plus b. The I subscript represents whatever point in the series we're addressing, and the a x sub I plus b represents the output of the linear equation that defines this line of best fit. Think mx plus b from middle school, but with an a instead of an m. One small final touch before we find the partial derivative of this function. We have to square the differences between the points and the line. Why? Because some of the points will be below the line while others above, so some of the differences will be negative and others positive, and they might cancel each other out if we add them up. By squaring the numbers, we ensure that they're all positive, but don't worry, it will still minimize very well for those distances. This is where the square in least squares interpolation comes from. We take this as a function of a and b, and find the partial derivatives with respect to a and b. You might be wondering, why not x and y? Well, x and y as variables represent coordinate pairs in the plane. Take the y sub i's and the x sub i's all being added up. By deriving with respect to a and b, we can plug them into the formula for some line, ax plus b, which is what we want. We want a line of best fit on the plane. Hopefully by now you can see how this math relates to the Minecraft username Black Market. We can make a plot of points based on the account data of how long the username is and its market price, then find the line of best fit by minimizing in this manner. If the slope of the line is negative, then the correlation is negative and the data supports my hypothesis that as the username length goes up, the price goes down. If the slope of the line is positive, then the data suggests a positive correlation, which doesn't support my hypothesis. It sure looks like a lot of math, doesn't it? Time to strap in.
Just kidding. Some people already made a thing that's just gonna do it automatically for us. But not before I do my best Mr. Beast impression.
I just spent more than 15 hours scouring the Minecraft market for data. Oh my god. I feel like my head is gonna explode. If I stuck this pen in my eye, would you guys even care? I found over 100 points of data, but something happened at the end that you're not gonna believe. Okay, that's enough of that. My ring light broke. Some of it's gonna just get filmed like this. You should be looking at a picture of the data now and some of the stuff that, I actually that the thing did. The slope is slightly positive. Technically, my hypothesis is wrong. There is a positive correlation between the length of the name and the price, which is not what you'd expect, right? Oh, I'm wrong. Well, hold up, because it gets a little deeper than that. The slope of the graph, yes, is positive, but it's only very, very slightly positive. In fact, if you look at the margin of error, it's well within possibility that the slope is negative. There doesn't seem to be much of any correlation between the length of the name and the price, which is even more shocking that there's no correlation. But if we go even deeper than that, it's probably just that this doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. Data science is a hot thing right now. Insights, learning, machine learning, buy data. Every company wants data. We assume that just because there's data involved, it must mean something. And that's not always true. It's possible to get a lot of information and for it to not mean much. And I kind of think that's what happened here. There's a lot of factors that I didn't consider in the collection of the data. The public versus private aspect.
Transactions happen in private or come from public listings, or does more of it happen under that iceberg?
I definitely think there's more private interactions, or transactions, I should say. There's a large part of the market lives not necessarily on online forums.
I can find a lot of prices on public forums, but stuff happens in private. It's hard to look at all of the work you've done and say, oh, well, this data actually doesn't mean anything. And I am glad that I did this. I definitely know more than if I had done nothing. I've gained a deeper appreciation for data collection and data science. I've also gained a deeper appreciation for multivariable calculus, typically used for motion and change. This is one example where it has another application, which is exciting. If you're still watching to the end, thank you. A very short attention span these days. I'm surprised I can even look into a camera for as long as I do. My attention span is so short.